Welcome to Wealth Mavericks. On today's episode, we're talking about how the questions you ask and the advice you seek out have deep impact on your results.
There are three things that make us unique. One, we are built for doctors. Like that is why we exist, is to help doctors. Second is we have deep expertise in alternative assets and tax strategy. And third is we take a holistic and big picture approach.
Welcome back to Wealth Mavericks. Today I have Joe with me, and we're talking about a simple truth. The quality of your life is often determined by the quality of your questions and the quality of the people you trust to answer them. Joe, it's great to have you.
Thanks.
So it's a common occurrence when we meet with a doctor who is frustrated with their tax bill. Everything in them wants to move forward and get these results that we've shown them. But then some of them will say, well, I need to talk to my accountant, or I need to talk to my financial advisor, or even I need to talk to my colleagues again and see what they've heard about this or see what they think about it. And while we are always very respectful of those statements, I'm always left wondering, if those people were able to get you the results you're after, why are you talking to us? And so many people are making these big decisions about taxes, business, investing, based on advice from people who might be well-meaning, but who are not equipped to lead them where they want to go. And the reality is, if you want better results, you have to ask better questions and ask them of the right people. So Joe, when thinking about the doctors we serve before they come to us, who do you think they're typically getting their financial advice from?
I mean, we've talked about so much, but it's the siloed nature of the financial services world. So they're probably talking to disparate sources, and their financial advisor might think one way. And was that the advisor that they graduate college with? And who knows what they're actually dealing with, or their CPA who's filed taxes for them previously, or whoever. Just, it could be anybody in their world. It could be their insurance expert who's trying to sell them another policy or whatever it might be. And by the way, they each have their own questions that they're asking, which dictates the quality of advice they give in the first place. So it's too disparate, too siloed to have any meaning. But I think that's traditionally who it's been, is this hodgepodge of people who've served them up to this point.
And that's just the professionals, but so often it's the people closest to them in their life too, where they'll mention, oh, I'm talking to this company, or I'm working with this company. And you know how people are, they're like, oh, that doesn't sound, I've never heard of that, or I don't. And then that plants this seed of doubt in them.
Right.
And so then the question becomes like, how do you weigh whose advice to take? Like, again, they're well-meaning, but how do you determine whose advice you should actually be taking?
I mean, a good tree is going to bear good fruit. So if you look around and you see someone who has good fruit produced in their life, whether it's financially or otherwise, that's somebody who I'd go to. If you're just kind of complaining and, I don't know how to say it, like bitching and moaning about stuff with other, misery loves company, that's not the people to seek this advice from. Like, find people who are succeeding in this area and ask their input. Perhaps they have advisors in their world. That's why, a lot of our members send referrals to us, because they have people asking them, how are you doing this?
Yes.
Here's this team that has helped me. So look at the tree, look at the fruit. If the fruit is good, the tree is likely good.
That's so good. Does this person have they gotten the results in their life that I actually want to get? And successful people talk about that all the time. Like, no one who's doing better than you is going to criticize you for taking a better path or, seeking out new information. It's always the people who are living from their own fear and scarcity mindset that are like, oh, you better be careful. So it's about being discerning. If you want to build wealth, follow the advice of someone who has built wealth. And the same with taxes. Like, what does their tax bill look like? Again, if they're complaining, they're doing something wrong.
Right.
And as Bob always likes to say, at Terra Firma, we eat our own cooking. Like, everything that we teach and walk our members through is something that we've done in our own business and for our clients. And so the path has been paved. You just need to follow it.
Right.
So as people are weighing their options out there, doing their due diligence. Let's talk about the actual questions that they are often asking and how they can reframe them to be more empowering and to get those better answers. So, a big one is, it's an investment to work with Terra Firma. So the question is like, well, can I afford this? So, what's a better question than that?
Well, I mean, can I afford this is a question. How about how can I afford this? Or reframing even your thinking about it is what's the value that I'm going to get by investing in this? So again, simple reframe like can I afford this turns how can I do this?
Mhm.
That alone, I mean, by the way, in all things in life, just asking a different question around that. Or I think a better question is what's the value I'll receive after affording this?
Yeah. Or can I afford not to? Because if I don't, I'm going to keep getting these results that I'm complaining about.
Yeah,
And this is something that I try to teach my kids too, because our brains are so powerful. And when you're asking dumb questions, you're going to get dumb answers or no answers at all. And it's as
right,
simple as like when you can't find something, you're looking in the fridge and you can't find the butter. It's like, why can't I find the butter? Well, your brain is going to answer that question like, well, because, who knows why.
right.
But instead you ask, where is the butter? And then your brain immediately works better and you
Mhm.
find the butter faster.
Right,
So if you find yourself asking disempowering questions, it's like your brain is going to give you disempowering answers.
right.
Another one, people often think, well, is this too good to be true? Or is this legit? Like they
Mm.
have that skepticism. So, what's a better question to be asking there?
Yeah, again, reframing very simply is what is true that I can implement? So is this too good to be true? Maybe it feels that way, but what can I apply from this that makes it effective? So I I think a similar question that people might ask is will this work for me? It's kind of in the same family of questions of this sounds too good to be true or is this too good to be true is will this work for me? And I think it's along those lines where it's just like, what will work for me? What in this? Like,
Mhm.
obviously, other people are doing this. So, how can I participate in the value that they're getting as well? Right?
Yeah. And it's a little bit woo woo, but you really do more often than not get what you expect in life. So you think like, well, that would never work for me, or there it must be a scam or something like that. It's like, well,
Hmm.
there's a bunch of people again paying less in taxes, building more wealth than you because they're doing things a different way than you.
Hmm.
So, you don't want to just shut it down. You like what would this look like if it worked? Or just having
Right.
certainty like this will work. If it can work for someone else, it can work for me too.
Right. And I think that again, that is a reframe because and candidly, there are scams that are out there. There are like doctors are a target for the
Yep.
financial services world. So you do have to ask those questions. Those are not invalid questions. What if this is a scam? Well, investigate. Is this a scam? Like what
Yeah.
about this would be a scam? And I'll tell you, like the people who can give you specific knowledge about this need to have specific expertise to give that knowledge. I'll give you an example. One of our tools that we utilize looks similar in verbiage to other tools that have been used and I'll say improperly promoted by tax
Mhm.
planners. And so then the IRS comes in and goes, "No, we don't like that thing." Well, something that we do might look similar to that and someone with limited knowledge might say, "Oh, that's what this is and that's why this isn't allowed." It's simply because they don't have the deep expertise and knowledge. That's, I think, what, at Terra Firma, if we haven't shared or if you haven't heard as a listener to this channel, there are three things that make us unique. One, we are built for doctors. Like that is why we exist, is to help doctors. Second is we have deep expertise in alternative assets and tax strategy. And third is we take a holistic and big picture approach. So that's what makes us unique in the world. So if you don't have that deep expertise and knowledge around alternative assets and tax strategy, that advisor should not be giving advice. Their advice is incorrect. It'd be like someone going to a doctor who's not a specialist in a certain thing, but they have enough knowledge to go, well, I think this is what it is. When someone with that knowledge would be like, you're way off base. Right.
Mhm.
So I think it's like, it goes back to that other one. Whose advice should you be seeking? People who have deep expertise in these specific strategies. So then the questions of, is this a scam or whatever it might be, start to get, um, upgraded to how can this apply in my life? How can I utilize these tools that other very affluent people are using?
Yes. Okay, so last one, and it's kind of two versions of the same question. What is everyone else doing, or why isn't everyone doing this? Those are multiple questions that we get to.
Mm. Well, actually, maybe maybe those are good questions. They just need to be answered. Those sound more like excuses. You know what I mean? Like, so ask yourself the question, why isn't, or how'd you phrase it?
Well, what is everyone else doing? Oftentimes people are like, well, because all my colleagues aren't doing this, then maybe
Right.
I shouldn't either. But I love to say on calls and on videos all the time, it's like, we recognize that that is a theme in our society, that the herd goes one way and don't get good results. And then the elite few take a different path. And almost always at the end of that path is the results that people want to get. But
Right.
because it takes work, because it has complexity, takes effort, a lot of people just don't want to follow that path.
Yeah.
So I think it's not a right question to say, well, what is everyone else doing?
Yeah, it's like that's a non sequitur to start, like, just to begin with. It's like, nope, wrong. That is the wrong question. Like, you don't want what everyone else has. What does everyone do? They complain about taxes.
Yeah.
What do the
Right.
wealthy do? They don't complain about taxes because they
Mm,
know what they're doing. They've got a team that's doing that. So the better question is, what is the wealthy doing that I am
yes.
not? Or what is the wealthy doing that everyone else is not? And, people who've heard Bob talk about this ad nauseum, the tax code is written for business owners. So that's a
Mhm.
great place to start. Are you even in the right channel of receiving income? Right.
Yes.
So, and then the other, what was the second question? Is if it was this easy, why wouldn't everyone be doing it, or
Well, yeah,
something like
why
that?
isn't everyone doing this?
Great question to ask. Or I'm sorry, great question to answer for yourself. Why isn't anyone doing this? Because it does take some time. It does take expertise. There are a lot of people who are like, I'm not willing to make that investment, even though the ROI is significant to me. They're just not even willing to do that. I don't know. I can't answer that for everyone else. I think this is a very personal question. Why am I not going to do it? Right. I was reading an article the other day that I thought was really insightful, and it was talking about, like, everyone is familiar with the concept of a postmortem. So after death, I mean, we're talking about doctors here, right? So after someone dies, what caused that death or what led up to that, whether it be an autopsy or whatever. In the business arena, we look at, like, projects that we do or things, initiatives, or even businesses as a whole. If they fail, we want to do a postmortem. We can learn from it. What went wrong in order to do that? And
Mhm.
this article was challenging people to do what they're calling a pre-mortem. So build a plan out and then dissect. Let's fast forward and say this thing died. How will it have died to get there? And so
Mm,
going into it, asking those questions. So those would be great questions. If this was to fail, what will have had to be true in order for it to have failed? Now we can mitigate those things way
yeah.
ahead of time.
That's great. And I think the answer to this in this context is actually twofold. It's like, why isn't everyone doing this as far as terra firma is concerned? Because up to now, we don't have a lot of direct competitors
Right.
because, as we've talked about in previous episodes, it is very hard to do what we're doing and bring it all under one roof and coordinate this whole team of professionals to serve our members on a holistic level. It is hard.
Mhm.
But why isn't everyone doing this as far as your colleagues or just people around you? It's because most people don't make it to that level, or they are fine just staying in the place where 20 years ago they put this plan in place and they're like, I'm too far in, I can't change anything. And they just kind of throw up their hands.
Mm.
But I hear Bob tell people like the Dave Ramseys and the Susie Ormans of the world who are talking to the masses, they are not talking to you because most people are not earning seven, eight, $900,000, $1 million a year. And so your planning needs to catch up to that. You can't be
By
comparing yourself
necessity.
to everyone
Right.
around you. Yeah.
Right.
So I think a great analogy here, obviously, is medicine. And doctors do understand this in their work, how you have to ask better questions. Like you can't just treat the symptoms, you got to ask the questions to go deeper and figure out what the root cause is. So, like, what is the root cause of your taxes or your lack of clarity or feeling like you're not as far ahead as you should be? Like, what are the root causes and how can you solve them? So, what advice would you give for like taking that same level of thinking and applying it to their financial life?
Well, I think there's two different paths that one can take with this. One is just hire experts who know what they're doing, and you don't need to ask any more questions. The question is, will this team take care of me? If yes, say yes and move forward. The other one is to educate yourself. And so we do a lot of this. These channels are dedicated to that. But for example, we hear feedback all the time after what we call our initial discovery tax call. So after someone comes on, we onboard them, we take a look at their tax returns. That call that they have with our asset and tax team is usually the most informative call they've ever had around understanding their taxes. And what Bob, I think one of the gifts Bob gave me early in our relationship was he was just like, dude, this is actually really simple. And the IRS leaves breadcrumbs all along the trail for anyone to follow. So to your point, Erin, when the symptom is, I have a high tax bill, ask yourself, where did that tax bill come from? Go to page 1 and page 2 of your 1040, and it breaks down. Here's where this is all coming from. And understanding the parameters that we can toy with in order to move the income streams around or whatever it might be in order to get that. So that's the deeper question for them to ask is, where is the source of this pain coming from? It's coming from your 1040. Great. Understand the 1040. What we found is that most people are actually not interested enough to do that level of learning. So I think that's the better question for you is, am I willing to invest in my knowledge to be able to solve this problem on my own? Or do I want to hire a team who I believe can take care of this for me? For the people that we work with, they're very successful. It's worth the money investment to have a team to come in and do it. So I guess that's a question that you can ask yourself is, and one of my favorite questions to ask is, am I willing to do the work my goals require? If my goal is to reduce my tax bill, am I willing to invest the amount of time to have the personal knowledge to do that? Or am I willing to exchange a dollar amount in order to have someone come and do it for me?
So good. And to wrap it up, I would add one more that piggybacks off of one of the episodes I did recently. And is the advice that I am taking helping me become the person I say that I want to become and getting the results, like you said, that my goals require, that I say I want? Is it moving me forward or is it holding me back? So I think the answer is usually clear when you do this audit. The same old advice will keep you in the same old place. But if you want different results, you have to ask better questions and take advice from the people who've been where you want to go. So thank you, Joe, so much. Doc, thank you for listening. We hope you found this valuable. If so, hit subscribe, share with your friends, give them that good advice that they need, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, go be a wealth maverick.